They thought she would show up, just like they remembered, awkward, quiet, invisible. But when the night arrived, the ground trembled, and the reunion went from an opportunity for mockery to one of sheer disbelief. Lena, the girl they dismissed, was about to make them regret every cruel word they'd ever said. Her classmates, Kyle, Ava, Mason, and Ethan, had spent months planning the event, relishing the chance to see how much they'd surpassed her in every way. They were successful now, Kyle with his real estate empire, Ava a social media influencer, Mason a corporate attorney, and Ethan a tech startup guru. As the clock ticked closer to the reunion, they couldn't wait to see Lena's reaction. They assumed it would be just like high school, the awkward girl, hoping for validation, walking into a world where she no longer belonged. But when the night finally arrived, and the ground trembled beneath their feet, nothing was as they'd imagined. The laughter died in their throats, and their self-assurance faltered. Lena's arrival would be anything but what they expected. The grand ballroom of the Ridgefield Country Club was lit in soft golden hues, the polished marble floor reflecting the light like a mirror. Elegant chandeliers hung overhead, casting shadows on the sleek, well-dressed crowd who had gathered to relive their glory days. Laughter and casual chatter filled the air, as Kyle, Ava, Mason, and Ethan reveled in their superior positions. Lena wasn't there yet, but they were ready for her. Ready to laugh, to mock, to relive the old days of high school, where they'd been on top and she'd been invisible. Then, just as the band began to play, the ground shook. The room quieted, and all eyes turned to the front doors. What happened next would make 200 people hold their breath in stunned silence. If you're hooked in and you're ready to enjoy this story, click subscribe and let me know in the comments where you're watching from, because tomorrow, I will be giving you another story just as interesting as this one. And you don't want to miss it. Now, back to the story. Lena had been the outcast at Ridgefield High, always the last one picked for teams, the girl who sat alone at lunch. Her classmates never saw her as anything more than a joke, someone to be ignored or, at best, pitied. But what they didn't know was that Lena had spent the years after high school transforming. They hadn't kept track of her success, her courage, her quiet strength. And now, with every step she took into that ballroom, they would see exactly what they'd missed. Kyle, Ava, Mason, and Ethan shared a quiet laugh as they discussed their plan. They remembered Lena as the quiet girl who always ate alone in the art room, her oversized glasses and awkward clothes marking her as different. In their minds, nothing had changed. They imagined her walking in, vulnerable, desperately hoping for acceptance. Their plan was simple: invite her, mock her, and remind everyone how far they had come since high school. They couldn't wait to watch her humiliation unfold. The luxurious Skyline Tower stood high above the city, its rooftop glowing in the golden hues of sunset. Expensive cars lined the valet, and well-dressed classmates gathered, exuding the arrogance of those who had made it. Laughter and chatter filled the air, as cocktails were sipped and memories were relived. Yet, amidst the celebration, Lena's absence hung heavy, an unspoken tension in the air. The wealth and superficial success of her peers were on full display, but little did they know, someone was about to arrive who would shatter their carefully constructed world of judgment and superiority. The ground shook, silencing the chatter. Smug laughter faltered as the roar of an Apache helicopter drowned out everything else. Its rotors whipped the air, forcing the crowd to step back in awe. The massive machine descended onto the lawn, its power commanding every eye. From the cockpit emerged Lena. Gone was the shy, awkward girl they remembered. Now she wore a U.S. Army flight suit, her stance confident, her presence undeniable. As a Bronze Star recipient and Apache pilot, she stepped out with military poise, instantly shifting the energy in the air. The reunion was no longer theirs to control. Lena walked through the reunion, every step filled with purpose. Her classmates, stunned and motionless, could only watch as she neared Kyle, Ava, Mason, and Ethan. She stopped in front of them, her gaze unwavering. "I've seen the emails," she said, her voice calm but sharp. "The jokes. The plans to mock me." The words hung in the air, each one slicing through their arrogance. No anger colored her tone, just the cold, undeniable truth. The weight of her quiet authority shattered their superiority. In that moment, Lena reclaimed control, and everything shifted. The reunion hall fell into an eerie silence as Lena made her way through the crowd. Her former classmates instinctively stepped aside, unable to take their eyes off her. The atmosphere was thick with disbelief and awe. The contrast was undeniable, The invisible girl they once bullied now stood before them, a powerful, confident woman. Her presence radiated strength, forcing them to face the cruelty they had once directed at her. Each step Lena took reclaimed the space that had once been theirs to mock. The power had shifted, and there was no turning back now. Lena stood before her classmates, the weight of her past and their cruelty laid bare. "You never saw me," she began, her voice steady. "You mocked me for being different, for things you never understood." She paused, letting the silence hang before continuing. "But I've achieved more than you ever imagined. I've served my country, faced danger, and earned the Bronze Star." She shared stories of bravery under fire, of saving lives. Her classmates, who once dismissed her, now faced the depth of her strength. The emotional weight of her words left them speechless, their arrogance crumbling before her. The moment had arrived. Lena turned toward the Apache helicopter, still grounded on the lawn. The rotors roared to life, the sound deafening as the crowd fell silent. She walked with purpose, her gaze fixed ahead, and every step echoed her transformation. As she climbed aboard, the hum of the engine filled the air, and the helicopter began its ascent, slowly lifting into the sky. Her classmates, mouths agape, watched in stunned silence. Lena's departure wasn't just from the reunion, it was from the cruelty of her past, a powerful symbol of her rise into a new life of strength and self-assurance. As Lena's Apache helicopter disappeared into the night, her classmates stood frozen, their arrogance replaced by a heavy silence. The laughter they had shared moments before now felt distant, hollow. They were left to face the reality of Lena's transformation. Guilt seeped in, and the weight of their actions settled over them. The reunion, once full of smug pride, ended in awkward stillness, no one knowing how to react. The lawn, marked by the helicopter's landing, remained as a testament to Lena's triumph. The classmates who once mocked her now understood. Lena had changed, and they would never forget.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as crazier and more intriguing as you can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.